Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of Happy Hour from the Tower. And I am your host, T. Morris. And sitting up to my upper, is that my upper left? My upper left.
I'm Nick Kelly.
And sitting over to my upper right.
I'm Brandon Kelly.
Yeah, this is what you call the no frills Brady Bunch
That's
edition.
backwards on my screen.
I-
I'm so lost.
We are officially the same level of production quality as all of the late night talk shows.
Exactly. Yes, we are. We are, and it's still kind of disorienting. I'm used to like having my my drop-ins at the ready. I'm used to having my setup, very slick, very polished, and I tried to do that on my Mac side, and Brandon was like, no. No,
It didn't work.
It's not working, T. And I'm like, well, then I guess we're gonna just bare bones it again. And this time, unlike last time, I'm gonna take full responsibility. The reason why you haven't heard anything from the fire team has been because we have just been. Well, let me rephrase that. I have been completely swamped with stuff. I'm doing everything from, let's see, juggling two. I'm juggling two deadlines. Just finished remodeling the bathroom. Let's see, job hunting, and then I'm also running a charity stream all through the month of April. So yeah, even during a pandemic, I've managed to overcommit myself. How about that? How about you guys?
First.
I know. How about you guys? How are you guys holding up with everything in our COVID-19 world? Nick, why don't you start? The child's still alive, so that's a good thing.
Not sure you're gonna like what I have to say here, but I'm gonna say it.
Oh, well, here we go.
We've all been home for weeks on end.
Right.
There's no excuse to have your Christmas lights up. It should be down. Period.
Oh my god.
Fantastic,
No.
Nick. Fantastic.
We were fortunate enough to have redesigned a couple of rooms in the house.
Uh-huh.
A couple of rooms. So the wife and I have to spend all day in the same office. We can, but we don't have to. And so it's been good for us to host a ton of virtual trainings for work and everything else. And we've got a whole week of them coming up here, where we're hosting labs and all kind of stuff. And we've been productive. There are days when the skin gets a little thin and some people are feeling it, and so we started doing these virtual happy hours on Fridays, and then also ad hoc wherever they're kind of needed. And Stacia's been doing virtual coffee talks or whatever. And yeah, not getting as much writing and music done as I should, but I'm also not like in video games all day every day. It's really weird. It feels like I'm just more social, not distancing with everybody to just kind of keep everybody talking and afloat.
Nice.
My guitar player popped by yesterday while I was mowing the yard because he just needed to get out and get on a bike ride, and all of a sudden he's in the road, and I'm like, oh hey, how's it going? So it's good to see somebody other than the two other members of the household for a while.
Right. How about
No
you?
offense.
Rude, but
No
fair.
Yeah, rude, but rude with love. Rude with love. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah.
How are you holding up?
It's been like half and half. So mostly gaming, but also there's been jolts of productivity, like making music and then going out for driving lessons because traffic is less.
I bet. Yeah.
I have replayed most of Far Cry 4, and just yesterday finished Mad Max the game for the second time.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
That game hits hard. The stories.
I see your Mad Max and I raise. I just finished the DLC for The Last of Us.
Oh.
The Last of Us Left Behind. I was first off. I was my chat was there. I had the wind knocked out of me with that. I mean, that game. I understand now why that game was given the nod for best game of the decade.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm okay with waiting as long as it's right. I'm okay with waiting for The Last of Us Part 2. But man, oh Shevitz, that DLC did not disappoint. And you guys will both get a kick out of this because this is around the time we met. I have restarted playing BioShock Infinite. This was the first ever first person shooter I had ever done. I made it to the boss fight, and I never finished the boss fight. This time, however, I'm playing it with a different mindset. I've got BioShocks 1 and 2 behind me, so I know
And a different controller.
I have a different controller. Yeah, I started on an Xbox. I'm now on a PS4, and the game is just as beautiful, just as shocking, and just as racist as I remember it. But I mean, racist in that, yes, there are racist people that I'm fighting. You'll
I watched
That's the main.
yeah,
plot.
exactly.
I watched your wife on Friday night. Speaking of downloading some content,
That is going to be featured in the highlight reel. I do promise you. So I'll have to put a warning on the highlight reel that it is not safe for work. Also, some other things too is we've been as we've been doing. Tomorrow is my first. Well, tomorrow at the time of this recording, yesterday at the time this will be going live. I have in fact completed the first deadline for the 4th edition of Podcasting for Dummies.
yay!
I'm pretty excited about it. It's starting to come together already. We have a lot of subject to change because one of the things that we discovered was that we, being me and the other author Chuck Tomasi, was that we got a lot of silence from vendors on would you like to give us samples that we can talk about in the book and test on our podcast, and we have been getting crickets in response. But since COVID-19 and the sudden shutdown of all of these big media events like TwitchCon and so forth and so on, suddenly I'm hearing from vendors within 48 hours. We're hearing from vendors we'd never even heard from in the first 3 editions, and they're like, "We'd love to work with you." It's like I bet you do. I bet you do. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Everybody in the last month has started a podcast.
Yeah. I mean, podcasting, streaming, people are starting to do that sort of exploratory. Let me see what this is like. So I'll be anxious to see how all this comes out. And then of course we are playing Destiny, and we are playing the Guardian games, and that's what we're here to talk about today, chat. We're here to be we're going to be giving a slight review and a slight discussion about the Guardian games and the unexpected domination of the Titans. Which, Nick, do you have any hand in this whatsoever? Are you playing more or are you playing less? Because if you're playing less, you should just quit the game right out, because right now the Titans are just dominating the Guardian games.
So, in honor of the Titans winning 3 straight days in a row, I did bring City 14 to the show here. If you guys
there you go.
Seen
there you go. Very nice. Very nice.
The back looks even. I have been playing. I gotta say, I don't want to take it that way yet, but I've been playing a ton. But there's an attraction to it being rep your main as opposed to just go do these things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My fellow warlocks, and that's one of the reasons why it's the core fire team this go around on this particular episode is that all 3 of us, I main a warlock, Nick mains a titan, and over here Brandon is our resident hunter and dredgen extraordinaire. So the question, so here we go. I mean,
not Revenant.
Well,
Revenant is Apex, yeah.
And what hey, look, I'm 1 triumph away from the Almighty, which I know, Brandon, you got. Well done. I still have to.
Wasn't fun.
No, I'm. So then let's see if we can.
No, you should have seen it. Like, we finished it, and I saw 3 other people put on the title. Because that's all they needed.
That's all they needed. In fact, I have a feeling that is a lot of what people need.
Yeah.
And now I just gotta. I basically have to throw out a quick shout out to the clan over at Current Meta, and ask them, guys, I need help. I'm 1 triumph away, and you all know what that triumph is. Can somebody please help me get that triumph? But we're here to actually talk about the Guardian games, and when we first heard about this, I actually got pretty stoked about it because I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. And as far as this being the spring event, I'm just going to go ahead and lead the discussion, and we'll talk about some other little nuances of it. But I will say I was underwhelmed last spring with the Verdant games, the Reverie. I was just not. I wasn't that thrilled about it. maybe it's the competitive
No one
angle.
was.
No one was. I mean, which is weird because it was the spring version of Festival of the Lost, but I really enjoyed Festival of the Lost. I've always enjoyed the Haunted
Festival of
Forest.
Lost was unique. It was the first time they did anything that was like an event, and they made use of the Infinite Forest, which was probably better than the actual Infinite Forest. And it had
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
It was a great. It was a very innovative. Yeah.
yeah, but it had an incentive to collect and level because there
Yeah.
was like a progression system, and
Sure.
then the Revelry just came out and they were like, "Here's the armor. You can go cheese the entire thing by having grenade respawn be a second,
Right.
and then earn whatever it was coins
Earn
to turn into Ava."
earn flowery. I found the design of the armor very flowery, which I was just like,
If it was any other color, I would have liked it, but like the blue and green didn't really go well together.
what about you, Nick?
Out of all the seasonal events, right? So the Festival of the Lost, the Revelry, the Seraph Towers, the bunkers, like all the different activities that we've had. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, you mean up to this point?
Yeah, like out of any, just it was here for this season and now it's gone. Sundial, Menagerie didn't count, but
Honestly,
one comes to mind. But I'll wait and see what you got.
honestly, I have really been enjoying. I enjoyed the challenges with the with unlocking the towers and the legendary lost sectors. I have genuinely been enjoying that, and I've also found that that while a lot of people are soloing those things, those events for me were more fun when I actually was in with the fire team. So I've been enjoying the return of Warmind, which is why I want the Almighty symbol so much. Yesterday I was wearing my Warmind shirt proudly. I mean, I love the lore around Warmind, around the Martian network, and around Siva, which I know Warmind had a hand in, and
An accidental hand.
an accidental hand, but a hand nonetheless. But the thing is, that's why I want the Almighty seal so bad. That being said, I have been having a ball with the Guardian games. I have been having an absolute blast with them, and I have got some things on my want list for Guardian games. I think it's a great idea. I really enjoyed, as Nick pointed out in the first night. I loved being able to open with boom, 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 bum, bum, ba-dum, ba. I mean, starting up a stream with the Olympic fanfare. I admit, I had chills. I was like, this is going to be fun. And
no other way to do it.
Exactly. And I've been having a blast with the Guardian games. And but I wanted to start with Brandon. Brandon, what have been your thoughts with the Guardian games, and why do you feel that way about them?
So I'm only disappointed because of the same way everyone else is, that it's just bounties and bounties and bounties, because the first half of the season already was just bounties and bounties and bounties to level up the bunkers already. And I think the thing I read on Reddit was the most Hunter thing about Guardian games is the Hunters winning the first day and then not even competing the rest of the time. And I don't think anything's
That's true. That's a very Hunter thing. Like, we won the first game. Peace out, bitches. You know, and that's it.
Well, we're third right now.
Yeah. Out of three, though. Out of three. That's the thing. What about you, Nick? What about you? What have you been participating in the Guardian games? What are your thoughts about it?
Has revealed to me that what I've known all along, when you guys have known this about me all along, is I really don't always enjoy the game when I have to play by myself. But it's social. I always have, even when we were doing the most frustrating, stupid trials of Osiris or Iron Banner or whatever it was. Like there was some hilarity in there because I could watch what you guys were doing,
right,
and
not
really worry about. And we got wiped out in 6 minutes.
Every time you die, I just like straight up.
Oh yeah, you were the avenging angel for like the whole time. But like running today, I was trying to get some stuff done on the moon, and I did the Seraph Tower twice, and the group that was there never got above like 18% complete. And it was like, all right, well, let's not do that. Let's go figure out what bounties I picked up, and I get, maybe some of them are go play this subclass that you don't really enjoy playing. There's always those where you're like, all right, I get they want me to do something different than what I'm used to doing, but definitely. I mean, I got 5 medals today, and it did some other incremental things that moved me kind of toward where I wanted to go for the season and everything else. But there were times where it was just kind of like, oh, another public event by myself with nobody hanging out with me, and it regarding any aspect of Destiny, it's always, there are times when you like I see, you know, it gets to this, like ghost hunting was like, okay, that's very like meditative for me. It's not just this season with the bounty grind. It feels like it's been this whole year. Because I mean,
yeah,
even the cookies and when we were doing those the towers for Rasputin.
Well, then even there was the grind for getting up to power level for Shadowkeep when that first launched.
Yeah, there was that. I mean, maybe it's the competitive angle of it. Maybe it's being able to. I feel like I had been. I always judge a time that I get into Destiny by what did I accomplish, and along with the bounties that I feel like I've been just going through, I also have. I also feel like that the medals I've managed every time I've gone in to clear all my medals. You know, I get the 3 medals for, you know, if it's Crucible or for Gambit or for the Forge, I clear those 3, and then I get to clear the three things for that are required for, what was it, for getting laurels, and then after getting laurels and doing all that, then it comes to, okay, get this one more bounty, get this for the amount of bounties, and I go on ahead and I clear that, and then I look and it's like, oh, my stream is near 10. So I feel like I've been more productive in this season than I have been compared to any other seasons. You did remind me though, Nick, that I enjoy, if you were to say about all the seasonal stuff that we've been doing of late, I am a sucker for the Dawning. Because I just love, I mean, the fact that we got an opportunity to deliver a cookie to Riven was just, that just tickled me to no end. But the Guardian games I've been having, I maybe it's I'm one of those players that just likes the carrot dangled in front of them, and I'm like, okay, that's the objective, that's what I need to do. I'm going off to do it. I also love the design that they put into not just the armor, but also into the emblems that they're offering for Star Athlete. That's a beautiful one. But the one they've got for Gold Medalist is just, I saw that and I said, oh yeah, I want that one. Steve and I were kind of drooling over the same things throughout the game. But yeah, I maybe that's why I'm enjoying it so much, is because it's that competitive streak now, along with being able to, at the end of the day, sit back, look at what you've accomplished, and go, yeah, I got that all done. One of the things, though, that people have been talking about pretty intensely, though, has been they feel like there's a fix somewhere because the Titans have been dominating it so hard. And I know this is going to probably surprise both of you, but I went to Forbes and read what Paul Tassi had to say about it, because he does have an article out now called "Why Are Destiny 2 Titans Suddenly Dominating Guardian Games?" And, you know, of course he sets it up with these are what the Guardian games are, you know. But this is what he says. First, to address the big question, I do not believe Bungie is rigging the event, putting one class over another in a given day to make it competitive rather than letting just one class dominate every single day, whichever one soon would be Hunters. I don't suppose we have any other actual tell, but I will take that the word, since they have said outright this is not what they're doing, and lying to 1 million active players is probably not a good idea, no matter what the stakes. That leads to the next point. The Hunters feel like they've been shafted because Bungie said they would be waiting the games to consider. They'd be waiting the games to consider there are more Hunters in the game than are class. Now Hunters think they're being underweighted and it's costing them standings. I don't really think that's the case. Waiting is not that complicated. For the sake of easy math, let's say there are 100 active Hunters in the game and 50 Titans and 50 Warlocks. Waiting here would be that Hunter medals count for 1 point, Titan and Warlock medals count for 2. Moving on to excuses. There's the insurmountable Skull Fort, the Titan exotic that lets you shoulder charge or ballistic slam your way to a ton of ability kill Laurel faster than any other classes. That could be one thing. Playing all 3 classes, defeating the purpose. Say that, yes, I'm running Skull Fort in my Titan. Yes, it generates laurels faster than anything else in the game activities. However, keep in mind, Guardian Games standings are not based on laurels, they're based on medals. And every class, every day, has the same amount of potential medals to turn in. Yes, I complete the silver to get laurels on my Titan faster than I do in any other class, and yet I still have to stay in activities just as long as any other class to get the gold when it comes to crucible kills, running 4 strikes, or 5 forges. Skullfort doesn't help with those medals. So I think he brings up a good point that it is not based on the laurels. And a lot of people are going, well, the people are farming laurels. I don't think that's it's the amount of medals. And
because the laurels only count for silvers.
Right, exactly. And if and most of the hunters that I know are a lot like Brandon. They're extremely laid back, and they look at something and they go, I can't be asked. And then they just go ahead and find something else to do.
Honestly.
Or they, yeah. Hunters are like, I don't need to dominate. We already dominated the first day.
Well, I don't see a reward here. The best thing we get is a gold class item. And that's the entire incentive is all that
This is the hunter mentality, I really believe. The hunter mentality is what's in it for me.
Yes. We're witchers. We expect to get paid.
We expect to get paid at the end of the day. But as far as I'm concerned, I get it. Maybe this feels kind of grindy, but this was what the community said they wanted. At least that's what the vocal members of the community said that they wanted, was more grindy activities. Going back to Nick's earlier question, I will say I feel like this season, the season of the Worthy, has been the grindiest of seasons. Yes. I feel like and my biggest complaint about the Guardian games is, so let me get this straight. The Almighty has been set on a collision course for Earth. Anybody remember that? The Almighty is set for a collision course for Earth. We got the darkness coming in on the outer boundaries of our solar system. Screw it. Let's do some Guardian games. How about that? It just feels very out of place compared to the storyline, which bugs me. And maybe this is the writer in me coming out. Bungie's storytelling has been pretty on point for this ever since Shadowkeep dropped.
Well, they say it's all supposed to wrap up at the yearly expansion, and
right.
Makes sense as to why we've been doing all this.
Right.
But so far, there's been no actual reason for the Sundial other than stopping the Scions. We're literally just building up Rasputin to shoot down the Almighty. Which, let me say, at this point, once this weekly reset hit, Zavala started trusting Rasputin, and I stopped. Because his towers on each destination where there's a bunker, like the ones that are like in the perimeter.
Yeah.
And like everywhere you can look and see 3 of them just on the horizon. Dad, you brought this up a while ago. It was I just lost it. Rasputin was made to protect humanity and not Guardians. Yep. So I'm thinking he's using us. Like, he'll help us with the Almighty and then let us go. Because I really don't trust the amount of control that we are giving him, and I don't think that it's going to be used for good. For us, at least, because we're not his primary defense.
Or concern for that matter. Yeah, right.
Because he's just trying to stop another collapse. But if anything's really responsible or more likely to cause another collapse, wouldn't it be the people destroying basically everything to try and defend with, a lot of reckless abandon?
I mean, what about you, Nick? I mean, have you been enjoying the Guardian games as well? Or I mean, or what have been your thoughts on the storytelling? Do you feel like Bungie should be like, okay, yeah, we've got all this great stuff going on, but let's focus a little bit back on the storytelling. What have been your thoughts?
It was pointed out to me today that they are tetrahedrons, not pyramids, because they have 3 sides. Just yeah. So I am not I'm gonna get so blown up for this. I am not the biggest fan of Ava Levante. because she comes in and it's this Great British Baking Show happy time moment every time she shows up, and it's like, to your point, like I was enjoying it the most when it was the moon and it was a horror movie, and now we've got, you know, the Happy Olympics,
The brightest color.
yeah, but
Yeah.
and while I'm getting yelled at, I might as well say that the seasonal armor is trash too. By the way.
Oh my God! Oh really?
Oh,
You're not
like the actual season pass armor.
yeah.
Yeah, I hate it. It's so bad.
Well,
So-
it's supposed
so short.
it's supposed to be reminiscent of, you know, of all the color and the splendor of the Olympics. I mean, I get that.
No,
No,
not
he
the
means, like-
the Olympics, the seasonal.
Oh, the seasonal armor. Oh, okay, got it.
Russian
Titan
tundra
looks like
stuff.
yeah, the Titan looks like Asylum Entertainment made a Top Gun ripoff. That's what it looks like.
Jeez.
So, I like the concept of the Guardian games. I just think that there's let's, you know, ignore the world around us. There's a fiery ship literally crashing towards us that is going to wipe us all out. With the also, last time we brought up Rasputin was a couple of years ago, and it was not. There was a giant worm god under the ground. So anytime he shows up, it should be that there's something horrible that we should be focusing on.
Right.
I think that this,
And that's that's the thing. But I think now we're giving him a lasting effect, and that's not smart because I don't want the solar system becoming a Rasputin monarchy.
So I have two questions then. So the first, you're familiar with the storyline that Rasputin's the reason that the Traveler is where he is.
Correct, because he shot him.
Yeah, Rasputin shot the Traveler so the Traveler wouldn't leave and let the darkness come and take over
Yeah.
the last city.
Which means he probably sees Guardians as enemies. To some extent.
So it's either it's your binary decision tree, right? So
Wait,
either
yeah.
you're
And keep in
enemy
mind-
you deserve-
And keep in
you're
mind,
outside of that.
and keep in mind that Zavala did say, you know, from this day forward, we will fight together side by side as allies and as guardians. So there was, I mean, the tension between Zavala and the Warmind was probably understandable, because, you know, Zavala's like, well, if you're going to shoot down, if you're going to take a pot shot at the Traveler, what are you going to do to Guardians? You know, I mean, and that was the whole deal with Anna's storyline to begin with as well, is that you know, people are saying, was she a Brave first because they're the ones who created the Warmind, or is she a Guardian? Where does her loyalty lie? And the fact that she still hangs on to pieces of her
I
past.
think she's proven herself to be a Brave first.
Yeah,
At-
exactly.
Based on how much she's clung to Rasputin.
And Steve Saylor, how you doing? Good to see you in chat. Thank you very much. Steve respectfully disagrees with you, Nick. He loves the armor, at least for the Warlocks. So there is that.
Whatever. That's Warlocks. I don't even know what that looks like.
All right. So anyway, I mean, I do feel like that.
Bathrobe.
I feel like that the story has been sort of pushed in the background with the Guardian games, and I do enjoy. And as much as I've been enjoying the Guardian games, I'm like, doesn't this just feel like a little weirdly timed, considering we have this
some guys-
Almighty coming at
some of
us?
The characters in the tower mention it.
Yeah.
Like if you talk to them after talking to Ava, they're like, "Oh, the Guardian games." It looks to the shadow of the Almighty in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like even yeah. So at least Bungie's going. We realize this might be ill-timed, but we're trying to keep the
Yeah, but
content.
there had to be a spring event, otherwise this season would have died.
Right, and and this comes back to something I think that I know we were discussing on my stream this week, was the notion that sometimes game developers have gotten into this groove of we have to be constantly creating content. And when I'm playing BioShock, when I'm playing some of these older games, there was an entirely different attitude towards content. Instead of content having to be something that was being cranked out like on a seasonal or even on a weekly level, games would come out that would be complete. Games would come out and then maybe you'd get a DLC a year later or something along those lines. Or
They were even finished at launch. What's that?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm concerned. And it became, well, where did this mentality start? And I know some people were blaming EA Games. They're basically saying they're the ones who came up with the whole loot box currency model. and now people are, trying to one up that. You've got Fortnite that's constantly, I don't even, when I see people playing Fortnite now, I don't even recognize the game. I do not even recognize the game. I mean, and I know they had a recent, you talk about a complete reboot to actually take a world and just wipe it out with a black hole. I was like, well, okay.
And to kill your players' progress too.
Yeah. I was like, wow. But then they all flocked back. They
released a sequel that was forced to be a sequel.
Pretty much.
I have a related question.
But well, then hold that related question for just a sec, because I wanted to finish that thought. I feel like part of this problem comes from, and this is not pinning it on Brandon or Brandon's generation, but to some extent it is the digital generation who, when they get an app, they're like, well, I want this right now. And so developers are now releasing stuff that, as Nick pointed out earlier, hasn't been quite vetted and hasn't been quite tested, and then they go, well, we'll fix it with a patch. They tried that with cats, for God's sake. They tried that with cats. And I'm not talking about the animal. I'm talking about that godforsaken movie that came out in December.
They did it with Sonic, too.
Right.
Cyberbullied the company into fixing that. So.
But I mean, to release a movie and then go, well, we have a patch for it. I'm like, a patch isn't going to save this steaming pile of poo. It was never meant for the big screen. But that's for another discussion altogether. The point I'm getting at is that it feels like just like with apps, I mean, I'm old enough to remember the age where when you bought a product from Apple, you knew that the minute you opened the box, you pulled it out and plugged it in, it was going to work without any question, because Jobs vetted everything to the nth degree. Now, people are releasing hardware and software, and it's like, well, if it doesn't quite work, we'll fix it in post. And I feel like video games are starting to fall into that trap, and I'm kind of concerned that this might be the way it is. We get this content that hasn't quite been thought out all the way to the end. So, Nick, what was your thought on that?
Okay, so here's a rumor, since we've heard a lot of them, right?
Right.
The thought being that the game, especially on a console, cannot just infinitely grow inside, right? And the code and the size of everything, and so that they were going to rotate things in and out, right?
Right.
By the way, my own answer to the question I asked earlier, I think from a seasonal activity perspective, I really enjoyed the European aerial zone. I thought that was really super cool.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun. Yeah.
So if we look at the darkness ships in your bunker, and we look at where they're progressing, right? Our little 8-bit wall of triangles.
They're getting close.
One of the rumors is the first place that they're going to reach is going to be Titan, and they're going to wipe it completely, like gone off the map. Like for new content.
Yeah, I think this is going to be bold, especially if Bungie does it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are in for a second collapse.
I mean, you want the pull the parking brake direction change. If you go from congratulations on your Guardian games, here's your thing, and then they wipe out Sloan, the next thing, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's right, have something to take care of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we need a fully fledged war, kind of like an actual battlefield against the darkness, and that's where the Allegiance quest
finally matter.
Yeah. Because your means of fighting back the darkness are going to change depending on whether you're sided with the holy stuck to the light vanguard or the using darkness as a wake drifter. And I think there's been foreshadowing of it, especially when Drifter was like, you're gonna need this gun if you want to stand by my side, when it was, I think, the Last Word quest. And a matter of him saying, like, we're gonna end up fighting, you don't know what's coming. All of Drifter's foreshadowing just tossed, like, sprinkled in there every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because he knows something that we don't.
And he's been keeping it to himself. He has been keeping it to himself.
He has had his tetrahedron coin since the end of Season of the Drifter, which was a year ago at this point. Almost a year ago. And I still, Bungie's got to do something, because, dude, we haven't seen Uldren since
That's So Steve had this to say: being an indie studio is a double-edged sword. They originally had to go through Activision for approvals, and they had to work within the limits they had placed on them. Now they're independent; they can do whatever they want. They don't have as many limits, and Steve believes, that is both a good and a bad thing.
Yeah, he's right.
And I mean, I think you can tell there's a difference in the way that Bungie's been doing things since their departure from Activision. I think some of it has been good. I think some of it has been questionable. But I see, now for me, I really don't want the action to start at Titan, because what I'm seeing when I go into that map, and it's kind of almost a cringeworthy feeling, but like when you look at the map, yes, you see everything lit up. You see Saturn, you see Jupiter, etc., etc. But then there are those areas that are not lit up. Uranus is not lit up, Neptune is not lit up, and the Kuiper Belt is not lit up.
Well, the Dreadnought is still
in
the rings of Saturn.
Yeah, and the Dreadnought is still in the rings of Saturn. And my thoughts are, it's like, to tease us with the map that is now turned off. I'm like, I want to see us. I would like to see the big expansion have maps on those planets. I would like to see those planets open up. I wouldn't mind seeing Venus open up again.
Please.
I miss Venus. I'm currently writing a story. It's a work in progress, and I have it opening on Venus, and I'm reminding myself, oh yeah, I remember Venus, and I miss it. I miss it terribly, and so I'd be really curious to see as to how they're going to handle that content and how they're going to bring it all back. But if they close the Guardian games with nuking Titan from orbit, because that's the only way to be sure, I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put it past them, because this is the same company that said, okay, we need to breathe some new life in this game. Let's take our most beloved character and let's wax him. Let's put him to rest. That was a ballsy move on Dusty's part, and in all fairness, and Bungie's part, and in all fairness to me, that was their wash dies moment. That was their wash dies moment, because when they killed off Cade, my thought was right after that is everyone's up for grabs. Everything's up for grabs. Because, taking your most beloved character.
Well, I think they're in the same kind of boat right now with like the lack of content.
With the lack of original new content, yeah.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, at least at like the beginning they had an excuse because they had one storyline to go for.
Right.
Which was Red War, and then that just ended, and then they did the same thing 2 times over with Curse of Osiris and then Warmind.
But this is what I mean about the limitations of new content, the limitations of developers. If you are constantly, and I'll put the link in the show notes, but there's a fantastic show a fantastic episode of Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj, where he talks about the grind, and he lists the top 10 video game developers that have the worst reputations for the grind. Fortunately, Bungie wasn't in there. But it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder, like, if you're constantly trying to push out content, it suddenly becomes a really good example, and I give props for the show to doing it. Mythic Quest: Raven's Banquet. When they make a big deal about the shovel and its unique properties, I'm sitting there going, it's an effing shovel. But that's how they treat. I'm worried that developers are going to reach a point where they can't keep up with the demand, or where they set demands that are unrealistic for themselves. I think I preferred it where it was, a game, a season, maybe some grindy stuff to do, and then we get the DLC. We got like House of Wolves. We got the Taken King. We got Rise of Iron. We didn't get because there was a lot of stuff in Shadowkeep I felt that went underappreciated and not really pushed, not really explored, because I'm doing this now. I'm doing the Season of the Undying. Now I'm doing this. Now I'm doing this.
Yeah, because they had to press 2 different content drops and
exactly
do all at the same time.
And I thought that was
you disagree with the seasonal.
To some extent, I do. I kind of wish they would scale back a little on that especially, well, at least around big expansion drops, Shadowkeep was huge. And I really felt like we needed more time to go through Shadowkeep than we were given.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, there's 3 story missions for Shadowkeep.
There's yeah, but then you had like you had the Pit of Heresy. You've got you've got the Altars of Sorrow.
Yeah, but even those didn't drop for like few weeks. I'm sorry for interrupting again, but like those didn't drop for a set few weeks, and Altars was random.
Right. I mean, it's fun to do. It's a blast to do, especially if you've got a fire team going in with you. But I just really believe that we're reaching a point where if you're constantly creating content, like what my biggest concern is burnout. Is burnout from not just the developers creating the content, but players that are now granted. You've got players that, yes, they will spend all day. They will spend 8, 10, 12 hours burning through content, and they'll be like, well, that was fun, or well, I'm done, what's next? But that is not your average player. That is, regardless of what the vocal minority say, that is not the average player. And I just think that that is not a sustainable model. Boy, are we really off topic here, chat? But don't worry, we'll be bringing it back in the second half. But I'm just concerned about both developer and player burnout, because if all the stuff standing are just the elite, I mean, then who's your audience going to be, and is that a sustainable market?
So the two sides of the argument, the two far ends of the spectrum are: one is something's on the calendar every single week, right? There's something new every single week for people to do, which is the approach that they have now, because the other opposing argument is you get DLC once every X number of months, and people blow through it in 3 days, and then they're bored for 6, 8, 10 weeks.
Right.
So I don't know where the happy medium is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that sweet spot's going to be different for the different tiers of people and the time that they put.
Well, that's what Noob says in chat. Crunch versus Chop streamers playing 24/7 and needing content to promote the game. And again, Steve actually led in with that. This brings up a conversation that's been going on for a while called Crunch, where developers are spending so many hours working on a game because they don't have as much time as they need to get stuff done. Rockstar, BioWare, Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, Epic Games have had this issue. And and the funny thing is, a lot of the developers that Steve just mentioned, they were singled out during that Patriot Act episode. Fortnite began an ongoing service. The devs are in constant crunch. I'm assuming Bungie is going through the same thing. And yeah, I think it's hard to try to find that sweet spot. And this goes back to a long time debate that people have been having. Who is Bungie or who are game developers making games for anyway? The elite that are constantly playing 24/7, or those or the casual players that are playing at certain pockets of time during the day, and then going off and having something to do other than video gaming. I mean, yeah, I would probably have a lot more Pinnacle gear, and I would probably be higher up in my power level if I wasn't doing things like, I don't know, writing books and remodeling my bathroom. And on that note, let's go ahead and take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to be talking a little bit more about stuff that's come up in the last in the last TWAB, as well as the charity stream that I'm currently hosting on this particular Twitch channel. That's over at twitch.tv/TheTeammonster. Right after this break. Okay. Quick pause, and then we're gonna and then in post I'm gonna go ahead and edit this. So let's just take a few minutes, guys. I didn't expect us to go down this rabbit hole, but I think it's working.
It's going somewhere.
Yeah, it's definitely going somewhere. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be making some time this week. When we did this last time, chat, when we had a podcast and we recorded it live this way, the plan was for me to edit, take the audio, pull out the audio, put in the stuff after, in post, and then get it out on Tuesday. I was still experimenting with streaming schedules, and I was still getting used to basically self-quarantine and things like that. And so now I think I found a groove, and I'm like, okay, let's start producing shows, because it was kind of heartbreaking pulling our show up on Overcast and seeing it listed as inactive, and I'm like, crap. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Ugh. So, chat, thank you very much for joining us. We are doing a live recording of Happy Hour from the Tower, and I hope you all have been enjoying the banter. If you've got questions, if you got comments, as you see Noob and you got Blind Gamer Steve talking up a storm, that's what we're looking for. So if you got questions or you got comments about Guardian Games, about what's been said in This Week in TWAB, which, Brandon, I'm going to let you take the lead on that, since you were you'd said something about how there are some changes coming to Trials. That would be great. I'd
it's minor, and it's them talking about down the line, but
right.
While we're paused, I'm gonna step away.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Thanks everybody for joining us. Also, during this stream, we are still raising money for NoKidHungry.org. NoKidHungry.org is a charity that makes sure that kids who are reliant on the school systems for their next meal get fed when school is out of session. And with COVID-19 shutting down schools nationwide, the folks at No Kid Hungry have been working overtime to make sure that kids are getting fed. And we've been raising money all month, and we are sitting right now at $37.28 because somebody wanted to keep it uneven.
Actually, that's even.
Well, when I say uneven, I mean as in yeah. When it comes to numbers, especially financial numbers, I usually rank up between 5 and 0.
That's fair.
So yeah. So I'm a little triggered myself, but I'm not in a spot where I can give. We're gonna talk a little bit more about No Kid Hungry when we get back to the second half of the show. But I appreciate each and every one of you being in chat. Thank you very much. I don't think the walls have started closing in yet, but then again, I figure at this point, if we run out of rooms to remodel, that's when things are going to be a problem.
That's a good mentality to
have.
That's
a good mentality to have, but I'm telling you, this bare wall behind me, I'm just like, I need to get like a poster or something just to slap behind it. Yeah. No, I don't want to paint. I do not want to paint in this room. I do not want to paint in this room. If I paint in here, yeah, there are going to be issues. There are going to be issues. There are going to be issues. Anyway, all right. So, so if you all are ready, let's see. Let's go on. Let's map out the second half of the show. So, we're going to address the TWAB and changes coming to Trials. I want to talk a little bit about the charity stream. Anything else you guys wanted to address or talk about from the first half of the show?
Not particularly.
I think it's weird to say anybody's dominating anything after 4 days. I think the sample set's so ridiculously small.
Well, technically you are, because the Titans have 3 and the Hunters have 1.
But it's such a small sample set.
Fair.
I don't think it proves out anything. And one thing that you do probably want to mention, Brandon, is that they said the last week everything counts double.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when is the last week? How long does this thing go?
No idea.
I was under the impression it was 2 weeks. It may be longer. Let me. I tell you what.
It's
I will.
an event, and it's not like Crimson Days or any of that stuff. Because I know Dawning was 3 weeks.
Let's see.
Oh, that's nice, Steve. Nice product placement.
Runs for 3 weeks. We got 3 weeks.
Tough.
Let me take a look at that. Let me take a look at this. What is it?
Because
Soon to be blind wizards.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix this light.
What's he? Hang on a minute. What's he doing here? Hold on. Bottom left corner of the new streaming setup. Let me just see here.
There we go. Now that.
Oh, I see it. Nicely done, Steve. Nicely done. Nicely done, my friend.
bright yellow and purple book.
Yep, can't miss it. Can't miss it. Still wait. You know, speaking of bright yellow books, still waiting on my copies of Discord for Dummies. It's supposed to be
phone book. Oh,
no. Wow, I'm amazed you even know what a phone book is, Brandon.
what does that mean?
I mean, come on. They stopped being they were going out before you and Serena were even thought about. Trust me, I remember the days when the phone book was like this, and then when I remember after a few years I got a phone book that was about that thick, and I was just like, yep, I think we're about to see the end of a dynasty, the end of a dynasty.
Like Blockbuster and floppy disks.
Yep. All right. So, chat. What we're going to be doing is we're just gonna take a few seconds of silence, and then we're gonna come in with the second half. And like I said, I'm gonna be taking care of all this stuff in post. By the way,
see this, Brandon? See this?
No, you're incredibly delayed.
My monitor came with a CD for some reason.
Is it a new monitor?
Yeah.
It came with a CD. Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Is it a drive? Is it a driver?
For what? Who needs it? Like
Exactly. I don't know. That's
also it was $100 because it doesn't have HDMI. So.
Oh.
Oh.
Yep.
Why doesn't everything just have an
No,
HDMI?
I did.
Am I on the wrong? No, I'm good. Okay.
So real quick, I'm just gonna double check my code, our code here for let's see, because I mean, obviously you'll hear it in the promo, but I wanted to go ahead and tell you guys. There we go. Whoops. There we go. So Gnarly Nerd Clothing. These guys are back, and they are back. They're back with a vengeance, and we are still affiliates of theirs. And if you use the code HHFTT10, that's the code HHFTT10 at checkout, you should receive 10% off your order. From
the number 10, not the letter.
Oh yeah, the number 10. Yeah, HHFTT and the number 10, and that's the code. That's the code for happy hour. So if you're seeing stuff like the world's okayest streamer, world's okayest gamer, they still got those. They still got those shirts. They still got the straight out of Hell's Basin. So they're still doing great stuff over at Gnarly Nerd.
Oh wait.
Oop.
No, if I don't run over my headphone cord. This might be backwards on my webcam, but you know what? They have stuff like this.
Oh, that's true. Straight out of Elm Street. Yeah, yeah, straight out of Elm
Crystal
Street.
Lake and stuff like that.
All right, so we're coming back in for the second half of the show. In 3, 2. And we are back with the second half of Happy Hour from the Tower. I'm T.
You cut.
I'm stuttering. Let's try that again. The magic of going live. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And we're back with the second half of Happy Hour from the Tower. I'm T.
I'm. No.
No.
Nick, are you running this off of a Dell? I mean, what's Oh man. Let's try. All right, third time's a charm, chat. Third time's a charm. We're going to make this work.
I can restart Discord if you want me to. It's real time in Discord. It's delayed on the.
No, you're
cutting you and you're stuttering a lot.
Yeah. So, actually, why don't we go ahead and do it later? Let's go ahead and do a quick reboot, and we'll wait and we'll bring it back in. How about that? All right.
Technical difficulties.
Like I said, the magic of working live, baby. The magic of working live. The worst one though was when, for some reason, Twitch wasn't working. Streamlabs was telling me I was streaming, but I was streaming to an audience of 0, and I was like, oh well, it must be a slow morning. I'm talking for like 15, 20 minutes. I'm still sitting at a goose egg, and I'm sitting there going, that's weird. So then I go to my stream, I do a refresh, nothing. Even though Streamlabs is telling me I'm streaming, Twitch was like, nope. And I was like, all right. So yeah. Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Deep Fish? Good to see you. Good to see you in chat. And now we wait with bated breath to see if...
Dad?
Yeah, Dad. Nick. Nick, are you there, Nick? Oh.
Let's see. If it's delayed again, I'll just turn off the video.
All right, well, actually, that sounds much better. Sounds much better.
It sounds better, but
He's still...
It's better than it was. We'll put it that way.
Yes, it's better than it was. All right. So here we go. So we'll come back in on the rejoin, everybody. In 3,
I'm
2...
just not going to say it.
TOS.
Yeah. All right. And we are back with the second half of Happy Hour from the Tower. I'm T.
I'm Nick.
I'm Brandon.
There we go. First try.
Ron.
And I'm just stop. All right. So anyway, so guys, let's talk a little bit about the TWAB, and then Brandon, you mentioned something about trials, and there are some changes coming to trials. What did you find out about that? What are your thoughts on that?
So they are looking a lot into the rewards, because currently the best way to play trials is to just get a win and then reset, and then get a win and then reset, which is not what they had in mind. Yeah, so they're looking into getting bonus tokens for each interval, creating a weekly bounty that encourages participation instead of winning.
Right.
And then getting better rewards, as in like masterwork materials and infusion stuff. And then further into Season 12, they wanted to talk about, for example, you may be asking, what about adept weapons? They're currently investigating a new form of flawless award weapons for a future season, which may not be called adept, but will have similar stats and rewards, with the ability to replace the weapon mod slot with an adept mod slot. Name may change. So it's just better weapons and a reason to actually play trials.
No, I thought in the recent TWAB they did mention something about anti-cheat systems, or that they were going to be.
Yeah. So they're really upping their grip.
Well, you guys know why, right? You guys did see the video that Righty posted, correct? About okay, so story time, everybody. Basically, what happened was there was a streamer named Righty. He was one round away from flawless, and it wasn't that he was doing any carries. This was for him. He wanted to get another flawless, and some people were shooting him and his teammates through walls. Now, as you do. Now, here's the thing that Righty did that I admire him for, and it took serious balls to do. He reached out to the cheater, and he apparently has been doing this to other people that he has been fell victim to in trials. But he reached out to this cheater, and he basically said, "Okay, you got me with a wall hack. I've got it on my stream. I would like to have you on my stream, and I would like to talk to you openly about why you're cheating." And this cheater actually contacted him and said, "I'm in." And the guy modulated his voice, got onto the guy's stream, and he did. And I put the link in the show notes. Righty did a 30-minute interview with this guy about why he was cheating, and I sat myself down, bit my bottom lip till I finally cut an artery, and I listened to this guy, and it was both aggravating, terrifying, and I should say both. I should say it was all these things. It was aggravating, it was terrifying, it was infuriating, and also fascinating, because you got into this guy's mindset, and this interview went viral. Perhaps the most profound thing that this cheater said was, when he was asked, "Why do you cheat?" he just went, "I got nothing better to do." And I mean, oh my God, I was ready to just, I just wanted to punch my computer monitor. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So anyway, yeah, it was really amazing listening to this guy talk about why he cheats, and of course the reason this whole thing started was because he said something that was, I will describe what he said as being the privilege of youth. He said something that had a lot of privilege of youth behind it, and he said, I said it. I don't regret it. I won't take it back. But Bungie basically not only banned him from the forums, they basically deleted his account. So that was what
fair.
Which is fair. And he sees nothing wrong because he says it's a free country. I can say that. And I'm like, you know what? The First Amendment, it's a beautiful thing. But here's the thing, Bucko. It's a right, not a privilege. And you have the right to say anything you want. But if you can't handle the circumstances or the consequences of what you're saying, maybe you should just sit down, play your video game, and be happy. But that's for another discussion on another podcast at another time. But then the viral nature of that original podcast, or that original podcast, spawned 2 other casts that Righty has made, and it's about the gear that cheaters have, and other cheaters that have been coming out talking about the hacks that they have. Some of them are free, some of them are like, I think they said one of them is going for $150 a month. You can subscribe to this for $150 a month. This cheat, so it has kind of forced Bungie's hand to step it up. Question is, can they? Because it's a bit like trying to catch hackers, which I wanted to get Nick's opinion on. The problem with catching hackers is that by the time white hats have the technology to catch up with the black hat hackers, the black hat hackers remain 2 steps ahead. Is that true?
It is a mindset, right? The cat and mouse game. You'll hear folks in the industry say, "Our best day is a tie," right?
Right.
I mean, we didn't lose. But this is a different type of scenario because a hacker could call themselves anything that they want. There's nothing to identify them the way that an account, a PlayStation or Xbox or Stream or Steam, there's an account there. You can ultimately get back to who that person is, as opposed to someone bouncing through a bunch of onion route exit nodes and stuff like that. So so it's a little different. The thing that I thought was interesting about that write-up was they said normally that they expected, first of all, they said they expected cheating when Trials was reintroduced. So the fact that they said typically there's like 600 and change in a week, and they were at 1.2100.
It was 2,200 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot, right?
A high
and
number, yeah,
so
2133.
Yeah, so they've added some folks who are going to be responsible for the security team. They do talk to Valve and are looking at some of the anti-cheat things that Valve. But I thought one of the biggest things, which was a really kind of telling fact, was that they've expanded it to say, you know what? If you're in a fire team with somebody who cheats, we could ban you too.
Yeah, I saw that. And I hate to say it, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, if you get on a fire team and you find out that someone on that fire team is cheating, you're like, well, I'll ride it out, see what happens. You're basically just turning a blind eye. You're turning a blind eye, and that's it's one of the things that actually but if I remember correctly, there is no matchmaking in Trials. You have to go in with a team. So technically, so if someone does have a cheat, then you're complicit, and I think it's fair. I think it's very fair. Now, I know I've tried Trials. I wouldn't mind trying it again. I'd like to find a team that I feel a little more trying to think of what a good word, that I'm more simpatico with, because I went in with the first time I went into Trials, I went in with a friend and a friend of a friend. And the friend of a friend he said, he was saying some things that made me go, really? The thing that he said that really threw me was when he said, yeah, Trials was never meant for the elite. It's always been something for the for the common player who's really dedicated to the game. And I'm like,
that's what the elite is.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I'm like, isn't that known as the elite? I mean, I find it hard to believe that Trials is not an elite level. There are no casual players going into Trials. There are none. That I mean that was the way it was even in D1, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Brandon, I know you sort of have a love-hate relationship with Comp and with the Crucible PvP, that sort of thing. Would you give Trials another shot if you had a good team?
Well, I can't say another shot because I've literally never stepped foot in Trials.
And you have no desire to?
Not particularly. I mean, it's not. The only reason I ever looked into it was because it was the last thing that would have given me an easy out for my Age of Triumph book back when Age of Triumph was out.
Yeah.
Instead of having to grind the Crucible quests for each of the classes and grab those triumphs. I'm not against going in. It would have to be on PlayStation because my numbers drop significantly on PC, and I think it's just a matter of getting into the right mindset because if I'm in a properly competitive mode, then I can get to an extent where the game makes me angry, and or I just get annoyed, and I think it's a matter of knowing what I'm in for and being with a team that I can trust.
Sure. Okay, it's good to know. All right, well, listen, I want to make sure that I do end our episode. Oh, hey, speaking of Studio Ghosts, that's the thing. Guardians have multiple ghosts, and right there's Bree. That's Nick's Studio Ghost when Nick is at the Casa de Kelly. When he's at Casa de Morris, then that's when you see Gamer Cat. When you see Benedict pop up, that's Nick's ghost here. So Nick is
one in the chair over here.
Oh, you got one in the.
I don't think I can show you. Yeah. Fantastic.
So I did want to end on a positive note, and I want to talk a little bit about the charity that we are still raising money for. It's NoKidHungry.org. NoKidHungry.org is an organization that has been stepping up to make sure that kids who are reliant on the school systems for their next meal get fed. And the school systems have meals like they have a morning breakfast program. They've got the school lunch program, obviously, and then they have an after dinner meal. And No Kid Hungry steps in when school is out of session to make sure these kids are getting fed. Well, with COVID-19 shutting down schools nationwide, they have been working double time and overtime trying to make sure that these kids are still getting fed. So for every $1 donation that you make here for NoKidHungry.org, that generates 10 meals. And right now we are sitting at $3,728. I could not be happier about that. But the one thing I did want to point out to you all, which is pretty exciting, on May 2nd, which originally I was going to be ending the charity on May the 1st, but on May 2nd at 10 o'clock, I'm going to be joined, that's 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, I'll be joined by Will Remick and Carla Warner of No Kid Hungry. They're going to come on to stream. Carla is going to just hang out in Discord with me and Will, but I'm going to be Sherping Will through Destiny 2, starting at Payback and going all the way to the end to the grand finale. He has played D1, but he did not come back to play D2. So he is going to be getting an introduction to D2, and all I've said to him is like, okay, you need to do the first few missions on your own, but then get up to Payback and then stop there, and then you and I will take it over and we'll forge forward. I cannot think of a better way to end this charity than with this finale, and I cannot wait. I've got questions set aside for them. We're gonna make it into a gaming session and an interview with Will and Carla. They have been more than supportive of me throughout this entire endeavor, and guys, both of you have been very supportive of me in doing this charity stream, and I want to say I appreciate it. But this has been so much freaking fun, and I remember when I told you guys there's a possibility I could get No Kid Hungry on stream gaming with them in D2. You were like, if you make that happen, T, that would be pretty awesome. And the thing is, it's happening, guys. It's actually happening. So that's going to be that's going to be on May 2nd, starting at 10 a.m. I will already be on stream. I'll be streaming extra long since it's the final day of the charity. But I'll be on at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. But at 10 a.m., make sure to let people know I will be there with members of No Kid Hungry. If you all have questions for No Kid Hungry, by all means, go on ahead and bring them to chat. Provided they're in good taste, I will ask them. But yeah, it's been fun raising money for these people. They've been very supportive, and I cannot But that reminds me too, Nick. Aren't you going to be putting some titles in the Google Doc that we've got for the incentives?
Yeah, Stacia has them all, so I gotta work through her.
Okay. Just so you know, final week is coming up, and I'm going to amend this with titles from Nick and Stacia Kelly, and the pen name they share together. It's going to be, so you're not only going to be able to choose from fantasy and horror and steampunk. There's some cyberpunk coming soon, right, Nick?
Yep.
Okay, great. So anybody have any closing thoughts about Guardian Games, about Trials, about the stuff we've been talking about? Anything at all?
So I need to throw out a thank to the, well, he's in the middle of my screen. I don't know where he is on yours. Brendan, who was not enjoying the Crucible at all recently, just walked in about a week ago. Walked in the room and he goes, "Go talk to Amanda Holiday and pick up your chaperone."
Ah, you got the chaperone.
Yeah, he went through all that grinding for my big in-game crush, so that I
think
could
it was the day before Guardian Games.
That's
I was
great.
Like, I'm not doing this after. So,
That's true.
not doing this while it's active.
Fantastic.
It's very fun to of course, obliterate enemies.
That's like shoddy, man.
I do love the fact though that when you reload the gun and you pump it, it makes that sound. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Speaking of thank yous, one other big thank you that I think this podcast should make, and this comes from something Nick mentioned in the one of many lost episodes, but the last time we were all together. Nick brought it up that there should be a huge thank you, and we've been doing it throughout the stream. There should be a huge thank you extended to Bungie for keeping this game going during an effing pandemic. The fact that Bungie has been working remote and they've been working to keep the game running. I know people have been complaining about some certain things that have been broken, and they are still broken. There's, for example, there's a bounty that was for Guardian Games for the Warlocks that has never worked, and it's the one with Devour, and it doesn't work. But you know what? The things that are broken in the game, I think, are pale in comparison to the fact that the game is working, and the game is running, and that we can go there and we can escape for an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours, because we do need an escape. And I think Bungie is one of those one of those unsung heroes. Your ghost is here, by the way, Nick. That we should, if we ever get a chance to, we should say thank you, because they are really helping us cope and giving us a little mini escape from what's happening in the outside world.
Well, it's not only that; they're keeping us updated too.
Yeah.
With the TWABs and stuff.
Oh yeah. And still making sure new content's coming out.
Yeah.
Now, something I thought was interesting, which was they're going to bring on a different tech lead to give you some updates on the different parts of the studio. So that, I think that's going to be some good reading in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Thank you, cat.
And Nick, I mean, being our resident cybersecurity IT expert in the house, how tough would it be for Bungie to keep this game running with what's going on with social distancing, working remote? I mean, is it hard for Bungie to keep this going, or I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
So, you would think that the developers, unless they're doing everything in either a cloud-based environment or they're all VPNing back in, tunneling back into corporate, that's where you're going to run into, I think, some connectivity issues. And we have a lot of these little. All right, so the running joke is, "Hey, Mr. Customer, does your company have a disaster recovery plan?" Yes. Okay. Does it have a business continuity plan? Yeah. When's the last time you tested it? Crickets. So, so what we've seen is we have these companies who are running 10 or 12-year-old gear, thinking that they're going to get, X amount of throughput when everybody's working from home, and then you start dividing the throughput by the number of employees, and you get down to, a couple megs for upload speed, and the people just can't get their job done. So when you start talking about really, really feature-rich stuff that you can't, like video, like if I'm gonna, transmit video, it's already in a compressed format. It's like I can compress it any further and make it any smaller. So that's where I think on the content side is where that's where I would see the largest number of challenges. I'm sure 5 years into this game, and this is not being the first game either, I think they probably have I know they do because I've talked to a couple of them, a very mature security team, and they've been through a lot of scenarios that have been called out over time in various communications out, right? So one of the things they talked about in Trials of Osiris was distributed denial of service, or DDoS, where essentially you send so much traffic to somebody's computer or computer environment that they can't transmit anything back out and they time out. And we have heard that this is a problem, especially with day one radio, right? Like,
right.
If I
want
to make sure that your team doesn't do it, then I launch a ton of traffic. And I think that they're seeing that same type of attack or type of malicious behavior around Trials. And so I think that they've experienced a lot. I don't think anybody is inventing something new to throw it at Bungie's security team right now. But if the infrastructure is up and it can be protected, then they'll continue to get the content done. I think they've done a masterful job at even just maintenance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I don't know how many out inside the building, but if it's like every other company I've talked to, it's not many.
Well, I have a limited experience with cybersecurity, working with a cybersecurity company, but I agree with Deepfish. Deepfish says companies are mostly reactive when it comes to security, which I would agree, and that's something you deal with on a regular basis. But I do think it really is. If anybody deserves a gold medal in the Guardian games, it's Bungie, for just keeping the game up and keeping the game running and keeping the game updated and keeping us as gamers and as consumers in the loop on what it is that they're doing and how they're doing it. And I just want to say GG's Bungie. GG's. So, chat, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the podcast for today. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, this podcast is actually going to hit the feed. Yes, it's going to get out on Tuesday. Yes, this shit is really going to happen. I promise you that. You can hold me to it. And you can hold me to it at 703-791-1701. Leave us a voicemail. You can drop us a message on WhatsApp. You can let people know what you think of the episode. We'd love to hear from you. We'll play your feedback on the show. You can also find the podcast on Google Play, on Stitcher, on iTunes, which will be changing soon, and you can also find us on Spotify. You can also reach to us at podcast@happyhourfromthetower.com. And remember, chat, that you can also find all the latest what's happening with us at the actual website, happyhourfromthetower.com. Go ahead and pay us a visit. Thank you again for watching. Remember, Happy Hour from the Tower is protected by a non-commercial, no-derivative, share-alike United States 3.0 license. You can find out more about that license at creativecommons.org. So on behalf of Nick, on behalf of Brandon, eyes up, Guardian. Time to give up the ghost. Thanks for the backup bell. The first round's on us. Stay safe, everybody. And we're clear. Chat, thank you very much for hanging out. We really do appreciate it. Guys, that's as quick and simple as we're going to make it.
The hour and a half we just spent.
Yep. Hey, that's kind of tame considering we've gone sometimes 2 to 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So you got...
You may not be finished recording, Brandon, today.
Oh, boy.
Wait, what was that?
Guys, I may steal him and his mom too because we haven't put out an episode in a couple weeks. D&D's been staying on schedule, but
there you go.
Is...
So here's my question to you: Are we going to have any episodes jump up to the front of the queue now that we have a new guy named Steve the Blind Gamer Sailor involved?
So I got to figure out how we do that.
Yeah,
because I don't want to omit 2 years of playing. I just chopped up another episode yesterday.
Yeah,
which is going to wind up being 4 separate podcast episodes.
It's a lot of content to go through, baby. It's a lot of content to go through.
Much. And now that Brandon's recorded a ton of music for me, now I'm adding music.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that your character has a theme song, but so
I'm
Every
scared.
character now has a theme.
I'm scared. I'm scared. You want to come up here? Come on up here.
So Ron and I would advise everybody to do this if you get a chance. So Ron and I sat and week and a half ago with Steve and built out Steve's character, and then Ron and I sat this Wednesday and we built out my new character all the way to level 20. Like he's not even close to that, but we know, progression and everything. And I think it gives you kind of a little bit of a, oh, this is where I'm going with that guy. More strategy. Ron coming back and going, well, you could do this or you could do this. And that's kind of it. You don't get a chance to really dig down into some of the, like, my guys get powers out of some Dragon Magazine episode 341 from like 1988 or something like that. It's like, that's how in the weeds. But when he sent me the completed character sheet and he goes, the subject line is, your guy is a badass. I'm like, okay, we're gonna be, it was worth the time.
Look, I
actually sketched him too, but I haven't inked it yet.
I think. Well, look, we all can be in agreement. Our next character sketch has got to be done by Denise Lanneman of Candy Cane Studios. I mean, she's got that great new logo for you guys. She did that sketch of Ash. She did that drawing of Ashime with George, which was which turned out even better than I hoped it would. I love her stuff, and now that we got Steve in the mix, I think it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. It's for those of you who don't know, Chad, I run with these two guys, not just in Destiny, but once a week we get together with two other people in St. Louis, my family, the Kellys, and we just get together and we do something we call ADHD D&D, found at ADHDDND.com. And what we've accomplished over we've been doing this for 3 years now. Brandon does need a belt. He does need a belt.
Yeah.
But we've been at this for I think 3 years, and
it's greater than 3. I just
okay.
the episode I just chopped up, the play session that I just chopped up is from May 2017.
Jeez. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
But
it's going back.
So it used to be a segment of the Geek Wolfpack podcast we put on the end, and then decided it's 2 different audiences, so we made at geekwolfpackpodcast.com. Decided that D&D was a different audience, so we broke that out and we have 26 episodes posted, and 27 through 30 are on my editing desk over here on your right.
Right.
And that's a different, if you guys like the difference between this and editing that.
Oh no, there's a huge difference.
Editing something like this where we're like, it's kind of a free-form discussion, and maybe you chop it up and you put if you want to put ad breaks in or anything like that, it's fine. But when you are killing, like, the three biggest investments of time editing that podcast: dead air, whoever's sick that week and is making bodily noises, like sniffles and coughs and all that other, and then the third.
Where's this on my character sheet, Ron? Where's this on my character sheet?
Right.
What tab is that, Ron?
Yeah, that's 3A and 3B. Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Like those take. But it's so funny because now that we've been doing this for as long as we have, early on it was me going, yeah, that's all getting edited out, and now it's any of the players, or like there'll be like a 10 or 15 seconds stretch of nothing, and it'll be Brandon or you or Pip who just go, yeah, that's all getting edited out. I know that's gone. So it is a lot of fun. I think adding the music and realistically, it was listening to the podcast while I was taking a walk a couple weeks ago, and we got to a battle. If you want to listen to episode 24, yes. And I was walking and I go, oh my God, this is a boss battle. Why is there not music? And so I came home and I'm like, Brandon, listen to this. This is fighting Ripley. What's the thing at the end of Super Smash Bros?
Well, yeah, Ridley.
Ridley. Yeah,
not
it's
at
like
the
a dragon.
end, but close.
Well, you know what I mean. But I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, like this is so reminiscent of that. We have no music, and Brandon goes, oh, okay, I'll write something. And then next thing I know, he's like, I'm gonna redo the theme, and then I'm gonna do a cover of the theme, and then maybe we need something for when we last left our heroes. And then it was what class is such and such again? Because I'm writing theme songs for everybody. So all of a sudden I have like 13 songs, but the
phenomenal.
first episode that I put them in is it's going to be the thing when we actually announce that we have a Patreon, which I'm waiting a little while until people are not financial straits before we start telling them, hey,
Right.
you know,
We have a Patreon.
hey, it's a couple. There was a puzzle that Ron put in our, and it
I know we know what he's talking about, chat.
and it took almost an hour, and instead of like using different, that's just how my brain works, instead of like, you know, introducing a whole bunch of different pieces of music, it's just every time we went to try solving the puzzle, I just used the same music. I'm like, you guys
Just restarted it, right?
Why not?
The
It
little
makes perfect sense.
subtext we kinda
It's the running joke. It's a running joke. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
yeah.
We
So,
have a lot of fun, chat. But the thing is, we've upped our game yet again, and I do mean we've upped our game because first off, mad props to our DM Ron, who plays the ultimate straight man. Correct.
Yeah.
And he's just a blast. We always go, hey Ron, can I do X, Y, and Z? And he goes, you can. And that's you're like, oh shit, you know. And
you
it's,
can try.
you can try, yeah. And I mean, he's got macros for everything in the game. If it doesn't work the first week, it works definitely the next week. If people ask, why aren't you streaming this, T? The reason I can't and won't stream it is that not everyone in the party is up for me streaming it. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine. That is more than okay. I respect rule number one of streaming. If you're streaming with a group and someone in the group, even if it's one person, if they say I'm not comfortable with you streaming this, then guess what? You don't stream it. It's just that, streaming it without everyone's consent is just a dick move. So you just don't do that.
To give you perspective, I met Ron because he played in a band that I sang, and when I met him, his day job was he was on the engineering team building a submersible robot to go to the ocean floor and pick up the black boxes from down fighter. So
there
if you
you
wonder
are.
why we have a macro for everything,
That's why. That's why.
Yeah.
But we're upping our game because we're up our game because we're introducing a brand new person into the mix. And I don't know if he's still in chat or not, but yeah, Steve Saylor is joining us for this adventure now, and he is playing our resident blind wizard.
Which means I've got 2 more themes to write.
Yep. And I dare you to make the theme for the blind wizard reminiscent, not completely a cover, but reminiscent of Daredevil. Because I mean, you gotta have that little heartbeat in the background. Because I always love that.
No, the other character coming in might be
reminiscent of Daredevil. Yeah,
I'm not blind.
but anyway,
I am super punchy. Like
exactly.
yeah,
does
like,
he have his feedback fence? Are you wearing the feedback fence, Nick?
he would fit in the Guardian games very well.
I bet.
Maybe I'll delete my Warlock and oh no, I can't. It's not my
Make
Warlock.
another Titan.
Another Titan. All Titans all the time. No, he's and his power set's really unusual. And then did Steve answer you?
No, I don't think he's in chat.
The limited but important time that Blind Wizard and I have spent together is going to be very, very fun to collaborate on. We've kind of got the framework for it, and it's going to be interesting. They're certainly not plug and play. It's definitely not.
No.
The dragon guy is leaving, so we need another dragon guy, or the healer died, so we need another healer. And the healer didn't die. That's just a general use case.
Right.
She came close. Episode 25.
Yeah.
Episode 26. Need to listen to those.
That became our episode of Protect the Cleric. Protect the Cleric at all costs. Protect the Cleric.
Yeah.
All right.
So I didn't know when this monster died that Ron had given it a feat that it explodes. I'm just going to leave it there, and you guys all have to listen to it.
All right. Well, listen, guys. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I will let you guys go, and I wish you all the best. You guys have a good night and stay safe. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And chat, we're going to go on ahead and we're going to and I just lost my camera. Wow. I'm assuming you all can hear me. You can hear me, right? Wait. Yes, you can hear me. Well, let me find out why my camera is suddenly no bueno. There we go. Host. Oh. There we go. And we're back. That was bizarre. It was bizarre, but hey, we're back. All right, everybody. Well, I'm gonna go on ahead and just wrap up. Let's just see. You know what? I'm gonna let AutoHost do its thing. This has been a good time. I appreciate each and every one of you being here, and I'd like for you to go on ahead and just stay safe. And I will let everyone in chat know when this new episode of Happy Hour from the Tower goes live. But thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you all Monday night for Monday Night Metal here on this station. Until next time, take care. Peace.